During the summer vacation, I worked as a receptionist at a hotel. Shortly after noon one day, a pregnant woman came in to catch her cheating partner. She showed me her ID card and asked for a room number, claiming it was work-related and that she needed to deliver something upstairs. I told her, "I'm sorry, but our policy prohibits us from disclosing guests' room numbers." The pregnant woman looked disappointed but didn't make things difficult for me. She sat down nearby, seemingly waiting for her chance. Out of curiosity, I used the ID card she had given me to look up the guest's information and found the room number before heading to the restroom. I turned up the brightness on the computer screen and set it to stay on. Then, I went to the woman and said seriously, "I'm going to the restroom now. Please make sure you don't peek at the screen to find the room number while I'm gone." The woman looked startled for a moment, but then her eyes lit up. "Oh, okay, thank you," she replied enthusiastically. I lingered in the restroom for about 5 minutes. When I returned, the pregnant woman, who had looked despondent earlier, was now full of energy and making a phone call. Shortly afterward, a van pulled up in front of the hotel, and 7 or 8 burly men climbed out, one of them carrying a video camera. "Cousin?" the man in front greeted the woman. "Where are the 2 shameless people?" "They're upstairs," she replied. "All right. Let's see how we handle them today," he said, leading the group toward the elevator. I quickly stopped them. "Unregistered visitors must sign in first." The pregnant woman immediately supported me. Yes. "Everyone, please register first. Don't take us trouble for others." After they signed in, the group went upstairs. About 15 minutes later, the police arrived. "Who reported prostitution here?" one officer asked. I pointed upstairs. "It should be room 403. The officers went up and stayed for quite a while before escorting several people downstairs. The cheating man and his mistress were disheveled but unharmed. The mistress kept her head down, while the man angrily complained to the officers. "Officer, you have to help me. My colleague and I were just resting in the hotel room when these people barged in and started filming us." The officer sighed. "Did they assault you?" "Well, no," the man admitted, "but they barged in with a camera and filmed us." "Isn't that a violation of my rights? I want to sue them for infringing on my image rights." The officer seemed unimpressed. "This isn't a case of image rights infringement. By the way, what's this?" The officer held up the man's phone, showing a transfer record. "Half an hour ago, you transferred 2,000 yuan to this lady. This transaction could be considered evidence of solicitation." The man panicked. "That's not what you think. She's my colleague." He said she wanted to buy a gold necklace. "So I gave her 2,000 yuan. "Oh, so you're in an extramarital affair?" the officer asked. When the manager learned about the incident, he scolded me for half an hour. However, the next day, a banner arrived at the hotel. It read, "Nemesis of cheaters, savior of women." The leader of the group from the day before delivered the banner, and a red envelope. "My cousin hasn't been feeling well and is in the hospital, so she couldn't come herself. She specifically asked me to thank you." That man was someone she met on a blind date. His whole family works in government positions, and they seemed decent at first. But after she got pregnant, he started cheating with a colleague. She had suspected him for a while, but his family was shameless. I tried to convince her to stay for the child's sake, saying, "Which man doesn't stray?" Can you believe that? Now, with evidence, she's filing for divorce if his family still has any dignity. I shouldn't expect a penny from her. We can afford to raise the child on our own. I nodded in agreement. Exactly. Don't let sunk costs dictate major life decisions. After they left, the manager softened his tone. "You're a young woman with a strong sense of justice, which is commendable, but you need to think about your own safety. What if that man retaliates against you later?" I scratched my head. At that moment, all I could think about was how scumbags who cheat during their partner's pregnancy deserve the worst. Beyond that, I honestly hadn't thought much else. The manager sighed again. "All right, switch to the night shift for a few days to avoid any trouble from that guy." The older, the wiser. Although Grace didn't let anything slip, the scumbag still suspected me. He caused a scene at the hotel twice, accusing us of poor management and leaking client information. The manager managed to smooth things over each time. Luckily, his company was nearby, and as someone working in the system, he was too afraid of losing face to escalate the matter. He never came back. And so, I continued my laid-back night shifts. The night security guard was a kind, elderly man with a gentle demeanor. We got along well, often cracking sunflower seeds together during downtime. One night, a man rushed to the front desk, flapped down his ID, and said, "A king bedroom, please." Following protocol, I assigned him room 416. Not long after he went upstairs, a heavily made-up woman entered, her hat brim pulled low. She moved suspiciously, trying to head straight upstairs. "Excuse me, but non-resident guests need to check in," I reminded her. She ignored me and kept walking. I quickly moved to block her. "Ma'am, please register first." "I didn't bring my ID," she snapped, impatiently waving me off. "Without an ID, you'll need to register at a nearby police station for a temporary ID before going upstairs," I explained. "Oh, come on, I'm just dropping something off. I'll leave right after. Why make such a fuss?" "Sorry, ma'am, it's the rule. Anyone going upstairs must register," I insisted. "Why are you so rigid, girl?" Our argument caught the attention of the security guard, who stepped in and blocked her path. "It's the rule. If you want to go upstairs, you need to register." Frustrated, the woman cursed under her breath before making a phone call. Moments later, the front desk phone rang. That was the guest in room 416. "Hello, my girlfriend is downstairs. She asked just coming up to sit with me for a while. Could you let her up?" "Sorry, hotel policy requires her to register if she goes upstairs," I said firmly. He tried pleading, but seeing I wouldn't budge, he hung up angrily. Shortly after, the woman's phone rang. She glared at me while answering, then stormed out in her heels. If she's really his girlfriend, why wouldn't she register? I shrugged. The security guard awkwardly rubbed his bald head. Maybe they had a fight. I thought that was the end of it, but 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. Room 416. "Hello, how may I help you?" The man hesitated, then lowered his voice conspiratorially. Do you offer any special services?" "Special services?" I caught on quickly. "We provide laundry, taxi booking, ticket reservations. Oh, and we can also arrange massage services," I replied in a hushed tone. The man perked up. Yes, massage services. That's what I want." "Well, the rates are a bit high. 100-minute custom-aromatic spa or 648 yuan, per payment required. Non-refundable. Does that work for you?" "Book it. That price is a steal." "Great. Please scan the QR code above the fridge for payment. Once confirmed, a masser will be on their way." Grateful. The man ended the call. 5 minutes later, Uncle Wang from the nearby massage parlor showed up, carrying his equipment. Uncle Wang, nearing 50, was tall, muscular, and had a voice like a bell. He even bought snacks and drinks for me, and a pack of cigarettes for the security guard. "Which guest needs a massage?" he asked cheerfully. "Room 416. You can head straight up," I said with a smile. As soon as Uncle Wang went upstairs, the phone rang again. Room 416. I asked for a 100-minute custom aromatic spa. The man yelled, sounding on the verge of collapse. "That is the 100-minute custom aromatic spa," I replied calmly. "Our partner uses exclusive aromatic oils. You'll love it." "I'm not talking about that. I mean," he stammered, then gave up. "I don't care. I want a refund." "Sir, we clearly communicated before your purchase that the service is non-refundable," I explained. "I don't care. I'll call the police." "This is fraud." I sighed. "We understand your concern, but refunds aren't up to me. The payment has already been transferred to the massa. The one who just went up. You can discuss it with him. Alternatively, you're welcome to call the police." The phone slammed down. An hour and a half later, Uncle Wang came downstairs. "No refund requests?" I asked, holding back laughter. Uncle Wang looked puzzled. "No, none at all." The guests seemed quite satisfied. Looking at Uncle Wang's burly physique, I could barely keep a straight face. By then, it was 4 And the security guard and I had just sat down to relax, when the lobby's TV screen suddenly flickered. And next moment, a sultry voice echoed through the lobby. "No, stop." On the screen, pale bodies intertwined. We froze in shock. Could it be a guest accidentally casting their screen? I stammered. The security guard, flustered, stuttered. Maybe. The remote was nowhere to be found. So I yanked the plug to silence the chaos. Just as peace returned, another couple walked in. "Do you have any rooms available?" At the door stood a young man and woman, both looking like college students. They were a handsome pair. Slightly tipsy. With an intimate vibe. Tears welled up in my eyes after all the bizarre encounters these past nights. I finally saw a real couple. The boy handed over their IDs. "One king bedroom, please." "Of course. It's my pleasure," I said, handing them the room key. The girl clung to the boy's arm. And they leaned into each other as they entered the elevator. I faintly heard her playful, coquettish voice. "Oh. Stop it." Before the doors closed, I saw the boy gently pinch her cheek. A tender gesture between lovers. After dealing with extramarital affairs, cheating, prostitution, and harassment, I had seen it all as a hotel receptionist. I was firmly on the path of staying single and childless. At seeing this ordinary young couple, I regained a sliver of faith in pure love. I was too naive. 2 days later, I saw the guy from that couple again. It was 11:30 at night, and once more, he came to book a room. But this time, the girl standing beside him was different. The last girl looked young, with a round face that made her appear sweet and cute. This time, however, the girl was tall, with long, straight brown hair. Exuding a sharp and professional vibe, they walked into the lobby hand in hand. The guy coaxed the girl into sitting down nearby, and approached the front desk with his ID to book a room. "One king-size room," he said, pausing slightly. "By the way, is room 307 available? I'd like to stay in that room again." In all my time working at the front desk, I'd encountered many people asking for room upgrades. But this was the first time someone specifically requested a room number. It felt odd. I glanced at the system and saw that room 307 was unoccupied. My thoughts raced. And I decided to respond differently. "I'm sorry, but room 307 has already been booked. All our standard king rooms are full tonight. At the moment, we only have the luxe king rooms available, which are 50 yuan more expensive. Would that be okay?" "Sure. That's fine," the guy replied, though his expression showed a hint of disappointment. Watching the two head upstairs, arms around each other, I asked the security guard to cover my shift briefly. "Something just came up. I need to check on something upstairs." I went to room 307 and turned on the lights. The room's layout seemed no different from any other. No one had stayed here since the couple checked out 2 days ago. But if there was nothing special about this room, why had the guy specifically requested it? After some thought, I turned off the lights and used my phone's camera to scan the room carefully, focusing on every corner. If there were hidden cameras, their infrared lights would show as small red dots or flashes on the screen. Nothing in the TV or set-top box. Nothing in the outlets. Nothing in the mirrors. Nowhere. Could I have been wrong? Sitting on the bed, lost in thought, I happened to glance up. The smoke detector on the ceiling had a red light that remained on. But this time, I noticed something else: a faint, flashing red dot near the light. I turned on the lights and examined the smoke detector closely. Inside, I found it, the camera. By the time the manager arrived, still in his pajamas, hair disheveled, he was furious. "Why didn't you consult me first before calling the police? How could you act without saying anything? You're just a young girl. Why would you take such a risk on your own? And this isn't the first time. Why is it always you?" "Enough," the police officer interrupted, patting him on the shoulder. "What's wrong with calling the police? I think she did exactly the right thing. Finding a hidden camera like this should always be reported immediately." She showed great awareness. She hadn't reported it, and a guest later discovered they'd been filmed here. Do you think your hotel could escape responsibility? This is about protecting your hotel's reputation too. Yes, yes. You're right, the manager quickly agreed, smiling awkwardly. So, officer, how should we proceed? I've already reviewed the situation, the officer said coldly. The previous occupant of this room is still staying at your hotel. The rest of the events were relayed to me by the manager. He refused to let me get involved further. That night, when the police knocked on the suspect's door, the girl inside was already partially in rest. The guy's second phone, hidden in his bag, was silently recording everything in the room. Upon searching his phone, the police found hundreds of secretly recorded videos, each featuring a different girl. The guy, Alexander, was a star at the neighboring university, a heartthrob and a member of the basketball team. He admitted that these were all his girlfriends, some he had just met, others he had been dating for a while. But judging from the videos, most of these girls had been sweet-talked into bed. Alexander claimed he bought the cameras to capture intimate moments for his own viewing. However, further investigation revealed he had also downloaded numerous pornographic apps for a long time. He had been uploading the footage of himself and these girls to these platforms for profit. The police found that the illicit earnings totaled hundreds of thousands of yuan, with millions of views. As the investigation deepened, what began as a minor offense escalated into a criminal case. Alexander was formally charged, and the police used this lead to bust two illegal sellers of hidden cameras. The incident made headlines and trended online. While our hotel was frequently mentioned, most of the attention was positive, commending our vigilance and refusal to cover up the crime. Otherwise, who knows how long this behavior might have gone unchecked. Even the manager was reflective. Thanks to your quick thinking and decisive action in reporting this, we avoided a much bigger scandal. If this had blown up with us caught in the middle, the consequences would have been disastrous. He awarded me a bonus and ordered a batch of professional equipment to detect hidden cameras. Housekeeping was also instructed to thoroughly check rooms for such devices during cleaning and immediately report any discoveries. As the news spread, even my parents heard about it through their phones, learning that the incident happened at my workplace and that I was the one who reported it. They were alarmed and insisted I quit immediately. Isn't it just 80 yuan a day? Dad will give you that, my father said, patting his chest confidently. This is different. I waved my hands. The money you give me is pocket money. The money I earn from my part-time job is mine. But we can still pay you for earning your own money, my mom said, patting my head. Sweetheart, just stay home and do chores. I'll pay you 100 a day. Mom. I tugged on her sleeve. It's not about the money. This is the first time I've earned money through my own effort in society. My dad sighed. But making money shouldn't come at the cost of your safety. What if those people retaliate against you? What then? Your mom and I only have one child. If something happened to you, what would we do? Dad, you're missing the point. I argued. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I have to hide? My father sighed deeply. People can be kind-hearted, but you also need to protect yourself. Cutting off someone's income is like killing their parents. Do you realize how many people's livelihoods you disrupted with this? After much back and forth, we finally reached a compromise. I could continue working at the hotel, but would return to school a week earlier than planned. In other words, I had just 10 days left in my first ever part-time job. In the past 10 days, my dad has been driving me to and from work for safety reasons. A manager also assigned to colleagues to the night shift to prevent any trouble. One is a man in his 30s named Leo, whom we all call Brother Leo, and the other is a 23-year-old woman named Elena, who just graduated from college. She works at the front desk, while preparing for the civil service exams. When Elena heard that I was the one who reported the issue to the police, she grabbed my arm and praised me repeatedly. You're amazing. If it were me, I wouldn't have even noticed something was wrong. And even if I had found the camera, I might not have had the courage to call the police. What's so amazing about that? Brother Leo rolled his eyes. At the end of the day, it's because those girls don't respect themselves. If they did, why would they check into a hotel room with a guy before marriage? Sure, the guy did something wrong, but are the girls completely blameless? Nowadays, these young women have no sense of self-respect. Getting secretly filmed is what they deserve. I was about to argue back, when Elena stopped me. Don't waste your energy, he said. I hard misogynist. It's impossible to get through to him, she whispered to me with a smirk. In fact, he's so famously backward. Even the housekeeping aunties call him a relic from the Qing dynasty. Having more people on the night shift made things livelier. We split the 12-hour shift into 3 fur blocks during Brother Leo's watch. Elena and I would sit in a corner of the lobby playing Honor of Kings. Even the security guard sometimes managed to sneak in a nap. Tonight, just as the game ended, I glanced up and saw 3 figures staggering into the elevator from behind. It looked like 2 men and 1 woman. The woman was slender, with long hair down to her waist, wearing a short skirt and black stockings. She looked stunning but seemed heavily intoxicated, unable to stand on her own if the 2 men supported her, practically dragging her into the elevator. Something felt off. Elena noticed my unease. What's wrong? She asked. 2 men and a woman just went upstairs, I said. Oh, that's normal, Elena said dismissively, waving her hand. There are bars just down the street. We get drunk customers checking in every night. But 2 men and 1 woman. Relax, they're just having fun. Probably some wild party. That explanation made sense. Sort of, but the more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt, unable to shake the worry. I went to the front desk to check the recent room registrations. The room registered moments ago. Room 504 was booked under the names of only the 2 men. Weren't there 3 people just now? I asked. Brother Leo frowned. What 3? There were only 2 men. But I clearly saw 2 men with a woman going up. You must be seeing things. Only 2 guys came to check in. Brother Leo's tone was impatient. Our argument escalated until Elena and the security guard stepped in to mediate. Why are you 2 arguing? Just check the cameras, Elena suggested, fast-forwarding the footage to a few minutes earlier. We saw the 2 men arrive at the front desk and book a double room. See? Just 2 people, Brother Leo said smugly, pointing at the screen. Ignoring him, I continued watching. After booking the room, the 2 men indeed took the elevator upstairs, but 2 minutes later, they came back down, left the hotel, and returned shortly afterward with a woman. She was clearly the one I had seen. Long-haired, short-skirted, and too drunk to walk without their support. They then brought her upstairs. Brother Leo's expression changed. I honestly didn't see that. Given the height of the front desk, it was possible he couldn't see them when they brought her in. Well, now you've seen it. I grabbed his arm, ready to head upstairs. Let's check it out before something bad happens. Brother Leo yanked his arm away. I'm not going, he shouted angrily. What's wrong with you? Why do you, a part-timer, have to meddle in everything? She's dressed like that, drinking so much at night. What else could she expect? Isn't that what she wants? I was livid. Do you even hear yourself? Are you saying a girl's safety is less important than your ridiculous assumptions? Safety? She's probably a prostitute. Look at that skirt, it's practically non-existent. So what if she's wearing a short skirt? If you wear shorts, does that make you a male escort? A gigolo? I shot back sarcastically. I grabbed the master keycard and headed upstairs with Elena and the security guard. Behind us, Brother Leo yelled. Don't come crying to me if you get beaten up. At room 504, we could hear faint cries for help through the door. Stop it. Don't touch me. Help. The woman's desperate pleas mingled with the men's laughter. Elena pulled out her phone and signaled that she was calling the police. The security guard hesitated as he approached the door. Maybe we should wait for the police. There wasn't time to wait. I knocked on the door firmly. Bang. 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 The room fell silent after a long pause. A man shouted irritably. What is it? Hotel routine check, I said loudly. Routine check? We don't need any checks. Sorry, it's hotel policy, I replied. If you don't cooperate, we'll have to involve the police. After a tense moment, the door opened to reveal a shirtless man. His annoyed expression changed when he saw the security guard's uniform behind me. Fine, check if you want, he muttered, stepping aside. The room appeared empty, but the bathroom door was tightly shut. As I approached the bathroom, the man blocked my way. "My friend's using the bathroom, what are you trying to do?" "Hotel policy requires us to confirm the number of occupants," I said, meeting his gaze. "I told you. It's just two of us. Why don't you believe me?" "Apologies, but we need to verify that ourselves." The man's frustration turned to anger. "What do you want? Watch my friend use the toilet. What kind of pervert are you?" The man started to take off his pants as he spoke instinctively. I was about to cover my eyes just then. The elderly security guard rushed forward and stood in front of me. "Young man, bullying a young lady like this is really uncalled for," he said in a calm but firm tone. Trying to reason with the man, "We're just here to inspect the rooms. It's hotel policy, you shouldn't make it hard for us working folks." Their argument grew loud enough to catch the attention of the neighboring guests. The couple in room 503 peeked out the man, who looked to be nearly 6.5 feet tall, and over 200 pounds, joined in out of curiosity. Sensing something was wrong, he asked, "Wait a second, where's the woman in your room?" "My wife and I both clearly heard it," he added. "There's definitely a woman in there." The man tried to deny it. "What woman? It's just me and my buddy staying here. There's no woman." But the guy from 503 wasn't buying it. He reached for the bathroom door handle. "If you're not letting the young lady see, then I'll take a look. We're all men here, what's there to be afraid of?" As he was about to open the door, the man forcefully grabbed his wrist. "Looks like there really is something going on here." The big guy chuckled coldly, tightening his grip. "Everybody, stop." Just as the struggle intensified, Eleanor arrived with the police. The crowd quickly filled in the officers on what had happened. Meanwhile, the man stood motionless in front of the bathroom door, his face pale and silent. The police turned to him. "Open the bathroom door." The man hesitated. "Officers, open it," the officer demanded, raising his voice. The man's lips trembled before he reluctantly opened the door. Inside the bathroom, a man was holding a slender woman. One arm was locked tightly around her waist, the other pressing hard against her neck. When he met the officer's gaze, he froze, immediately letting go. The woman collapsed to the floor, clutching her throat and coughing uncontrollably. Red marks were clearly visible on her neck. It took her a while to regain her breath. When she saw the police uniforms, she crawled out of the bathroom, grabbed onto an officer's leg, and sobbed hysterically. "Officer, save me, they tried to rape me and kill me to silence me." Her face was smeared with tears and ruined makeup. All three men were taken into custody: Elena, the security guard, the big guy from 503, and I went to the station as witnesses. The woman, now sober from shock, made a phone call in the police car. By the time we arrived at the station, her friend was already waiting outside. As soon as she saw her, the friend rushed over in tears, throwing her arms around her. "Hua hua, you scared me to death." I turned around for just a second, and you were gone. The two embraced, crying uncontrollably. During questioning, I learned the two were high school classmates and lived in the same neighborhood. They usually worked out of town, but happened to be back home at the same time and decided to meet up. They hadn't seen each other in ages, so the woman had a bit too much to drink. When she got sleepy, her friend tried to get them a ride home while the friend went to find the car. The woman sat at the entrance for no more than a minute before the two men from room 504 abducted her. By the time the friend returned, the woman had already been taken, prompting her to call the police. In the room, the men admitted they had intended to sexually assault the woman. When they realized they had been caught, the man in the bathroom tried to strangle her unconscious to keep her quiet. The woman, however, was unwavering in her statement. "He was trying to kill me to silence me. I'm pressing charges for attempted murder." After giving our statements, I returned to the hotel, only to be scolded thoroughly by my parents, who then made me quit the job. Despite their frustration, they bought me a new phone as a reward for my bravery. As for the case, I only heard that the woman refused to settle and proceeded with a lawsuit. Regardless of the outcome, it seemed certain that the two men would spend at least a few years in prison. Thus ended my first part-time job. Before returning to school, I went back to the hotel to say goodbye. Elena was on duty that day, and excitedly pulled me aside for gossip. Did you hear? Leo quit. Quit? That's sudden, I replied, surprised. Who knows? Maybe he felt ashamed, she said with a shrug, after you left. The manager gathered everyone to praise the three of us, then he gave Leo a tongue lashing, calling him morally corrupt and saying he wasn't as brave as two young girls. Leo lived miserable for days after that and finally resigned. Now that he's gone, I feel like the air is fresher, Elena said, taking a deep breath. Just then, the elevator opened, and two young men stepped out to check out. Elena handled their checkout and sent a cleaner to their room. Minutes later, the phone at the front desk rang. Lena picked it up, her expression growing more serious as she listened. On the other end, faint sobbing could be heard. You go on ahead, I told her. I'll cover the desk for you. She thanked me and rushed upstairs. A short while later, she came back, leaning on the cleaner for support, both of them looking pale and gagging. Those two guys from earlier. You have no idea what their room looked like. Ugh. It was disgusting. Beyond belief. Elena looked on the verge of tears. Ever since working here, I spend all 32 days of the months terrified of gay men.